There was one candle still burning on the windowsill. Just one. The others had fizzled out during the hour I sat there, alone, at the dinner table, staring at the untouched plates of food, the slowly wilting flowers, and the stupid little handwritten card I'd made her sign last year as a joke. It read, "To my forever Emery. No matter how hard life gets, I'll always make your birthday feel like the most important day of the year." She didn't even look at it this year. At exactly 9:14 p.m., the front door creaked open. No keys. No apologies. Just the sound of boots carelessly kicked off and her bag thumping to the floor. I didn't get up. I didn't speak. I just waited. She stepped into the kitchen like it was any other Thursday night. Not my birthday. Not the night she ghosted me without a single text. And then she saw the table. The candles. The food. The card. And me. "Oh," she said. "That's it. Just oh. No hug. No happy birthday. No explanation." I finally spoke. Quietly. "Is this what I get?" That's when she snapped. Like I'd asked her to climb Mount Everest barefoot. "Are you seriously going to make this a thing? God, Emery, not everything is about you. Maybe I had a rough day. Did that even cross your mind?" The room went silent after that. My face must have said more than my words ever could. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't throwing things. I just sat there. She stared at me for a few seconds. Her expression shifted. From irritation to guilt. Then she stepped closer, like she suddenly remembered the script. "I didn't mean that," she said, voice softer. "I didn't mean any of that. I love you, okay?" She touched my hand. The same hand that had written her that dumb card. And for a moment, I let her say it. I let her kiss my forehead and whisper, "I'm just tired," like it erased everything. But when she went to take a shower, I walked over to her purse. I don't know what I was looking for, but I found something I wasn't supposed to. A receipt. From 7:46 p.m. 2 glasses of wine. 1 steak. 1 salmon. 2 desserts. 1 restaurant we'd said we'd try together. That night, I learned love can sound like I didn't mean it. But betrayal? Betrayal whispers with receipts. She came out of the shower humming. Like this was just another night, and I hadn't been sitting there trying to figure out if I was losing my mind or my marriage. Her damp hair was pulled into a messy twist, and she wore that oversized hoodie she only ever put on after long nights out, claiming it was cozy. Funny, I used to think it was cute. Now it looked like armor. Something hiding whatever truth clung to her skin. She walked past me and casually plopped onto the couch, like we hadn't just exchanged the most miserable birthday moment in the history of miserable birthdays. I followed her silently, clutching the receipt in my palm so tightly it left a crease in my skin. "Did you eat?" she asked, not looking up from her phone. "No," I replied flatly. "You should," she mumbled, eyes still glued to the screen. "Don't let your blood sugar crash." I sat on the armrest beside her and slowly unfolded the receipt, placing it gently on the coffee table like I was handling a live grenade. She glanced at it, gave it a quick squint, and then her face stiffened. Barely, but I saw it. That little crack in her expression that she couldn't quite cover fast enough. "Where'd you find that?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Too casual. "In your purse," I said. I waited. Silence. "Why were you at Estelle's tonight?" She blinked. I stopped there for a drink after work. I needed space. "I told you, work's been awful, and I didn't want to bring that energy home on your birthday." 2 entrees, Lila. 2 desserts. She laughed. A dry, hollow little laugh. "Seriously? You're checking my receipts now?" I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just kept looking at her. And slowly, she stopped laughing. "Who was he?" I asked, not shouting. Just asking. Like someone already drowning asking how deep the water goes. "It wasn't," she started, then stopped. Her eyes darted toward the TV, like maybe a distraction would save her. "He's just someone from the office. It's nothing. You spent my birthday with him." I didn't mean for it to be like that. She snapped again. There it was, that same sharp edge from earlier. "He just asked me to talk over wine. I didn't think we'd stay that long. I thought I could be back before I noticed." She bit her lip. Not out of nervousness, but calculation. Like she was debating how much to admit before I stopped asking questions. "He's married, Emery," she finally said. "It's complicated." I felt something cold crawl up my spine. That word, complicated. That word only ever means one thing. Betrayal that hasn't been fully confessed yet. I looked down at the receipt again, and that's when I noticed something else. The signature at the bottom. Not hers. Not even close. Sloppy cursive. Mail. She hadn't even paid. You let him pay. Don't be weird about it. She shot back, instantly defensive. It was just dinner. And dessert. And wine. And lies. She stood up fast, like she couldn't take another second of being near me. I told you, I didn't mean to hurt you. You always take things so personally. I needed to breathe. You make it so hard sometimes. I make what hard? I asked, voice trembling now. Loving me. She didn't answer. She just walked toward the bedroom and closed the door. Not slammed. Just closed. Like she was done for the night, and I was some background noise she could mute. I sat there, surrounded by the flicker of the last candle, the untouched dinner, and the echo of her words. It's complicated. She didn't know it yet, but I was going to untangle every inch of that complication. And she wouldn't like what I found. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there in the dark, listening to the soft hum of our bedroom fan and the occasional shift of her body beside me. She slept like a stone. No guilt. No tension. Just steady breathing, like nothing had happened. Meanwhile, I was staring at the ceiling with my heart thudding so loud I thought it might shake the bed. Around 4 a.m., I got up without waking her and walked into the living room. The place still smelled like cold pasta and melted wax. I sat down on the couch, turned on the lamp, and stared at her laptop on the coffee table. She rarely used it at home, claimed she hated mixing work with personal space. But I knew she kept it there for emergencies. Or maybe just laziness. I don't know. I shouldn't have touched it. I know that. But something had been gnawing at my gut since I saw that receipt. Something deeper than jealousy. Something colder. I opened it. The login screen popped up, same as always. And here's the thing she probably forgot. We made that password together years ago. A dumb inside joke from a vacation we took to Oregon where I got food poisoning from gas station sushi. Tillamook Tummy, 2018. It still worked. When the desktop loaded, I didn't even know where to start. Part of me hoped I wouldn't find anything. That I'd open her email or messages and see a bunch of boring spreadsheets and work notes. Maybe a few Pinterest boards for kitchen remodel ideas or saved Amazon carts. But no, it was all there. Not in her work email. That was squeaky clean. But in a separate Gmail account I didn't recognize. The name on it was her middle name and a number. Probably a backup account she never thought I'd find. I clicked through the inbox, hands shaking the whole time. Dozens of messages. Most were from him. A name I didn't recognize, Dinar. But I didn't need a last name. The way he wrote to her made it clear. This wasn't some harmless coworker chat. These were long, rambling messages sent at midnight. Paragraphs about how he couldn't stop thinking about her voice after conference calls. Complaints about his wife. Hints about starting over. Worse, her replies. Not just playful. Intimate. Familiar. She sent him photos. Nothing explicit. Nothing that would break YouTube's rules. But just enough to show she was emotionally miles away from me. A picture of her on the couch, holding a wine glass, captioned, "Wish you were here instead." A mirror selfie in the hotel room from that work retreat last month, with the caption, "This bed's too big for one." But the worst one, the one that actually made me drop the laptop onto the floor, was a voice memo. It started with her laugh, low and whispery. Then she said, "I told him I loved him tonight, just to shut him up." I sat there frozen, the laptop still playing softly through the speakers, her voice echoing around the room. I didn't even cry. I just sat there, stunned, as if I'd been hit by a train but was too numb to feel the damage yet. She told me she loved me, to shut me up, on my birthday, and then she went asleep like nothing happened. I picked up the laptop and closed it quietly. Walked back to bed, lay down next to her. She stirred a little, murmured something in her sleep, and reached for me. Her arm brushed mine. I didn't move, because now I knew. Tomorrow, I'd pretend nothing changed. But the countdown had already started. By morning, I had decided two things. First, I wouldn't confront her yet. Not directly. Not until I understood just how deep this went. Second, I was done being predictable. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to watch, closely, quietly, carefully. She woke up that morning like she hadn't shattered me into 100 pieces just a few hours earlier. She stretched, yawned, gave me a sleepy, good morning, and even kissed my shoulder. A small, automatic gesture that used to mean something. Now it just felt like static, noise she made to keep up the illusion. "Sorry about last night," she said, tying her rope. "I really didn't mean to snap." Let's do something this weekend, yeah? I nodded, smiled even. But inside, I was already working through my checklist. The Gmail account. I'd taken screenshots. Forwarded a few of the worst messages to a secret folder I made under a boring project name. Home Reno Budget 2021. She'd never open it. She hated spreadsheets. While she showered, I slipped into her purse again. I know. I shouldn't have. But I needed to know more. I wasn't just a betrayed husband anymore. I was a quiet investigator, one step behind a woman who thought she was smarter than me. Her phone wasn't there, but I did find something new. A parking stub from 2 nights ago. Not near her office. Not even near downtown. It was from a boutique hotel on the west side. A place known for discreet business stays and rooftop wine bars. She never mentioned any client meetings. I put the stub back exactly where it was. No fingerprints. No signs of tampering. I was careful. That morning, I even made her breakfast. French toast. Her favorite. She smiled when she saw it and said, "You're sweet." And the way she said it, it made my stomach turn. Like I was a pet. A loyal golden retriever who'd sit and stay, even if someone else was scratching behind his ears. I watched her get ready for work. Watched her apply that same lipstick from the night before. That same one that wasn't smudged when she got home after drinks with a friend. She looked in the mirror, turned to me, and gave that warm little smile. The one she used to give me when we were still us. "Big meetings today," she said, slinging her bag over her shoulder. "Wish me luck." "Good luck," I replied, keeping my voice steady. She leaned down, kissed my cheek, and walked out the door like nothing was wrong. The second she left, I grabbed my keys. I had already made a fake client inquiry to that hotel last night. Used a burner email, just in case. This morning, I was going down there in person. I had questions. If she had checked in under her name, I'd be lucky. But even if she hadn't, the timestamp on the parking stub gave me a window. A narrow one, but enough. And I knew how to ask questions politely. How to seem like the worried husband, the one who lost track of his wife's location during a supposed conference. What I didn't expect was what I actually found. It wasn't just her name on the reservation. It was his too. Dinar. The same name from the emails. Booked together. Same room. 2 nights. No work conference attached. I stood in that hotel lobby with a polite smile plastered across my face, thanking the front desk woman for clearing up my confusion, while something behind my ribs started to tear. 2 nights. While I thought she was on a work trip. While I was fixing the leaky faucet in our bathroom and texting her photos of the progress like an idiot. I walked back to my car, sat down, and closed the door. Just sat there. No music. No movement. Just the knowledge that my marriage wasn't cracked. It was rotted through. But she didn't know I knew. And that gave me something I hadn't felt in weeks. Power. She wanted complicated? I was about to become her worst complication yet. I didn't go home right away. I sat in the car across from the hotel for over an hour, engine off, heat on low, watching couples walk in and out, laughing, holding hands, completely unaware that a man was falling apart across the street. Somewhere on the top floor, 2 people, my wife and a man she once introduced as just a coworker, had shared room service and pillow talk while I was at home replacing our hallway light bulbs. That image lived in my head like a virus. I could barely breathe. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I didn't rush into the kind of confrontation that ends with broken dishes and empty threats. No, I let it tick. Because when someone builds their world on lies, the last thing they expect is silence. When I finally walked through our front door, the house was quiet. It smelled like dryer sheets and lemon cleaner. Her favorite candle was lit on the counter, some lavender thing she used when she wanted to clear the mood. I was the only one home. I went straight to the bedroom and pulled out the plastic storage bin where we kept tax documents and paperwork most couples forget exists until April. Deep in the stack was a manila folder I hadn't opened in years, our joint bank account setup documents, along with the login info for an emergency account we opened before our honeymoon. She didn't know I remembered the passwords. I'd played dumb so long she probably thought I'd forgotten they even existed. But I hadn't. Not after the way she used to talk about independence and separate safety nets before we got married. I logged in. The balance was smaller than I expected. Way smaller. And then I saw the withdrawal history. Clean, quiet transfers. Every 2 weeks, small enough not to raise alarm, but steady enough to build a pattern. And the recipient? Dinar. The transfers were labeled consulting reimbursement. Consulting. My wife had been paying a man she was sleeping with, either for secrecy or guilt. And suddenly, it all clicked. Her sudden paranoia about money, her push for separate budgets, her weird arguments about financial boundaries. It was all preparation. Brick by brick, she'd been laying a path out of this marriage, one she thought I was too oblivious to notice. But here's the thing about being the nice guy. They forget we have memories, that we notice everything, even when we pretend not to. That night, I made dinner like nothing was wrong. A roast chicken, which she usually bragged to her friends that I made better than any restaurant. She walked in at 7:26 p.m., humming again. Same fake tune. She kissed my cheek like she hadn't betrayed me down to the bones of my existence. I asked how her big meeting went. She said it ran long. She even rolled her eyes and mimicked her boss. I nodded, passed her a glass of wine, and laughed when she cracked a joke about office politics. And all the while, I stared at the woman across from me. This stranger wearing my wife's face. This woman who could lie better than most people could breathe. After dinner, she curled up on the couch and asked if we could watch something light. I said sure. She picked some trashy reality show. I didn't even register the screen. My eyes were locked on her hands. Her smile. The way she giggled at every ridiculous plot twist, like she didn't have one of her own playing out in real time. And right there, with her head resting on my shoulder, I decided I wasn't just going to walk away. That would be too easy for her. Too clean. No, I was going to make sure she watched every single brick of her secret life collapse around her. One quiet, steady move at a time. 3 days passed. I didn't confront her. I didn't change my tone. I didn't say a single thing out of character. And that's what scared her most, I think. Because Lila knew me well. Well enough to notice that the man who used to over-explain every emotion was suddenly calm. Too calm. Like a tide pulling back before a storm. She kept asking if everything was okay. "You've been quiet lately," she said one night while brushing her teeth. I told her I was just tired. "Work's been rough?" I muttered. The same excuse she once used to dodge guilt. She accepted it, but I saw the flicker in her eyes. The hesitation. The way her smile didn't reach her cheeks. She was guessing what I knew, and failing. That weekend, we were invited to a birthday party for one of her coworkers. Some guy named Vince, mid-level manager, turning 40. We didn't even like him. She never had a kind word to say about him before. But this time, she insisted we go. "It'll be fun," she said. "It'll take our minds off things." I didn't argue. I said sure. The party was at this rooftop bar downtown. One of those places with string lights and overpriced cocktails that make people feel richer than they are. She wore a deep green dress I hadn't seen before. Said it was new. I wondered if Dean had picked it out. She looked stunning. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel anything when I looked at her. Not love. Not jealousy. Just a strange, detached pity. The way you feel when watching someone who doesn't realize they're dancing on a cracked floor. At the party, I met a few of her coworkers, most of whom had that awkward, overly friendly tone like they were trying too hard to act normal. That's when it hit me. They knew. Or at least suspected. One woman, Lila's desk neighbor, I think, gave me this sympathetic smile when Lila walked away to get drinks. I almost asked her then and there, but I didn't. I smiled back, said nothing, and let the silence hang between us. Lila returned with 2 drinks, handed me one, and wrapped her arm around mine. "You doing okay?" she whispered into my ear. "Never better," I replied. She laughed. A high, flirty laugh. Too loud for what I said. That fake kind of laugh people give when they're covering something up. Everyone turned for a second. A few eyes lingered. But Lila didn't notice. She was too focused on maintaining the illusion that we were fine. That was the exact moment I knew what I needed to do. The next morning, while she was out running errands, I went into the basement and dug through an old cardboard box she probably hadn't thought about in years. Wedding stuff. The guest book and used RSVP cards and a USB stick. On that stick were all the raw photos from our wedding photographer. Hundreds of images, including a handful she'd never let me post. "Too personal," she said. "Too for us." But I remembered one in particular. A candid shot. Lila in her gown, looking at me like I was her whole future. I uploaded it. Then I scheduled a post on our shared anniversary date, just 2 weeks away. Public, with a caption that said, 8 years ago, I thought forever meant something. No context. No rage. Just that photo. That look in her eyes. And a clock set to blow the whole thing wide open. Then I called a lawyer. Quietly. Discreetly. Explained everything. He told me I had enough. More than enough. Financial records, proof of infidelity, and now potential witnesses from her workplace. He said we could file when I was ready. I said, not yet. Because Lila wasn't done lying. And I wasn't done watching. The shift was small at first. A missed detail here. An unusual question there. It was subtle, but she felt it. I made sure of that. I didn't scream. I didn't accuse. I didn't even flinch. I just let her twist inside her own head while I adjusted one tiny variable at a time. And for someone like Lila, who built her lies on predictable patterns, my unpredictability was like a crack forming under her carefully curated mask. It started on a Monday. I left the house before she woke up. No note. No text. No usual have a good day message with a dumb meme. Just silence. Then I didn't answer her first call. Or the second. She finally texted around noon. Is everything okay? Where are you? I replied 6 hours later. Busy. All good. She replied with just one word. Weird. Weird. That was rich, coming from her. I kept doing it all week, changing my rhythm slightly each day. I started going to the gym again, but never told her when. I moved some clothes to the spare bedroom, said it was because of my snoring. I laughed more on my phone around her, but never explained why. It wasn't much, just enough to make her look twice. Just enough to remind her that control is an illusion. Then came the real blow. That Saturday, I told her I was heading to my friend Reed's place. Guys' night, some old movies, beers, nothing serious. She nodded, said, have fun, with that same dismissive tone she used when she thought she held all the cards. She didn't ask any follow-up questions. She didn't even look up from her phone. And I let her think I was out of the picture for the night. But I wasn't at Reed's. I parked 3 blocks away and waited. At 8:52 p.m., she left the house. Alone. No phone call before. No heads up to me. She was dressed in a way she hadn't dressed for me in years. Heels, hair down, dark red lipstick. The same one she wore on my birthday. I followed her. No, not like a stalker. I didn't need to hide in bushes or wear a disguise. I knew where she was going before she did. When someone cheats long enough, their patterns stop being secrets. They become schedules. She met him at a wine bar near the park. Not the hotel this time. Public, casual, open. Probably thought it looked innocent that way. I stayed across the street, just out of view, phone in hand, camera ready. They didn't kiss. Not this time. But the intimacy was there. The kind of conversation you have with someone who already knows your body. At one point, she leaned over and touched his hand, and I caught the exact second she looked around, paranoid. She checked her reflection in the window next to their table. Not once. Twice. Fast. That's when I knew she felt it. The tension. The shift. Something in her gut was whispering, he knows. But she didn't trust that whisper yet. She brushed it off, smiled, laughed louder. But she kept checking that reflection, like it might betray her. She left an hour later. Alone again. Walked home like nothing happened. The next morning, I made her coffee. French press. Her favorite. I sat across from her in the kitchen, watched her try to hide how tired she looked. You okay? I asked, careful. Didn't sleep well, she said. Weird dreams. About what? She looked up at me. Long pause. I don't remember. That was a lie, and it tasted bitter in her mouth. I could see it. I dreamed we were being watched, I said casually, sipping my coffee. She froze. Just for a second. It was enough. I guess that's what guilt does, I added, smiling. Her laugh came late. Too loud. Again. Just like at the party. She was slipping. And now that she was on edge, it was time to give her a push. It happened exactly how I wanted it to. Slow, quiet, and devastating. No screaming. No dramatic fight in the kitchen. No begging on the floor. Just a single moment. Deliberate, surgical, final. It started with the envelope. Our anniversary came 2 weeks later. That morning, I left her a white envelope on the kitchen table. No note. No fancy card. Just her name on the front, written in my handwriting. When she walked in and saw it, I was already dressed, standing by the door, keys in hand. She smiled like she thought I'd finally moved past the tension. That maybe I was trying to make things right. She opened the envelope without hesitation. Inside was the photo. The photo. That candid wedding picture from the USB stick. The one where she looked at me like I was her whole world. I'd printed it in black and white. On the back, I'd written 7 words in neat, even script. You looked at me differently back then. That was it. No confrontation. No list of what I'd found. Just that picture and that sentence. She stared at it like it was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Her hands shook. Her smile faded. Her mouth opened, but she didn't say anything. Because deep down, she already knew. "I'll be out for a while," I said casually. "Don't wait up." She called after me. "Emery, wait. What is this? Where are you going?" I didn't answer. I just walked out the door. That afternoon, the scheduled anniversary post went live on social media. That black and white photo. That same caption, 8 years ago, I thought forever meant something. Comments started pouring in from friends and family. Confused. Concerned. One of her co-workers even DM'd me. About time. Later that evening, I returned. Not to the house, but to the apartment I'd quietly leased a week earlier. Fully furnished. 1 bedroom. Clean slate. I had already moved most of my essentials when she was out at work. The rest, old suits, a couple mugs, my books, were boxed and waiting in the trunk. But the real twist? She didn't come looking for me right away. No, she waited 3 days. And then she showed up, not at the house. At my new apartment. I don't know how she found the address. But she was standing outside the door, pale, quiet, holding that same photo. "I deserve this," she said softly. "I deserve worse." But I had to say it out loud. She looked up at me. Her voice cracked. "How long did you know?" "Long enough," I said. "I messed everything up," she whispered. "But I never stopped loving you." I looked at her for a long time. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel revenge. I felt done. "I stopped," I said. "I don't hate you. But I stopped loving you the second you chose someone else on the night I was supposed to matter most." Tears welled in her eyes. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Just a quiet sob, the kind that shakes you but doesn't make a sound. And I let her cry, but I didn't hold her. Because I wasn't hers anymore. And that was the most peaceful feeling I'd had in years. She left. She didn't knock again. And me? I rebuilt. It took time. But peace came. New routines. New people. New joy. A year later, I met someone who didn't flinch when I got quiet. Who didn't twist guilt into silence. Who actually remembered my birthday. And not just remembered, but made it hers too. And on that birthday, while I blew out candles in a room full of laughter, I looked around and finally realized what Lila had accidentally given me. Freedom. She broke the version of me that would have kept forgiving. Kept waiting. Kept hoping. And now, I don't wait to be loved the right way anymore. I am.